Oh. Is it working? Oh. Maybe it is working. Oh, dude. Giga views. Giga viewers. See this? No. Excellent. It's excellent quality. Okay. Great. Oh, how do I get this to stay? I don't know how the overlay works. I don't know how the overlay works. The director's desk.
They're sex bodies, essentially.
Playlists? Whoa. Why do I know this guy?
Hi, my name is Jack, and I'm a post-baccalaureate fellow at the National Institutes of Health. When organs like...
Oh! I was at the NIH. I know. Whoa! Oh my gosh! This is my old director. The chat's going crazy right now. The chat's going insane.
Hello, and welcome to the Director's Desk, the podcast where we highlight the groundbreaking work of the National Institutes of Health and the dedicated leaders advancing biomedical research and public health. I'm Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, Director of the NIH, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Jennifer Webster-Syriac. She's the Acting Director of the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research. Thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. I know we had many attempts to try to get this...
Such a nice woman. Love that woman. Shout out to this woman.
...to happen, and finally we get to talk.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to be here.
First, Jennifer, why don't we start by talking about what is the work of the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research? Like, what is that about?
Well, our focus is making sure that we are doing research that's going to help move towards prevention and treatment of all diseases in the dental, oral, and craniofacial complex, and recognizing that all that happens...
That was the area, if you guys missed it.
Help move towards prevention and treatment of all diseases in the dental, oral, and craniofacial complex.
That one. That's it.
And recognizing that all that happens here affects not only your oral health, but your overall health.
Right, so it's part of, if I have problems with my teeth, I've had problems with my teeth in the past, that's pretty disabling.
It is disabling, but the other thing to recognize is we're not just teeth, okay? When you think about how you identify who you are,
teeth.
It's your face. That's dental, oral, and craniofacial. It's how you eat, it's your ability to speak, to get nutrition, to breathe, all these functions that are essential to life, to communicate with other people, and to even have relationships, how you get a job. All of these things are tied. So I think that the work we do is critical.
I can agree with you.
Let's see. Holy shit, who is this? Here we go. Mr. Lightopen has questions like, how did you tax the national and international royalties for the gain 2 function vaccines? Exactly how did you... Oh my god. Is this guy on every single... Please, I hope you're on every single video.
Hi, my name...
No comments. Okay. Good
Hi,
boy Jack.
my name is Jack, and I'm a post-baccalaureate fellow.
Okay, you're not really putting out content. Podcast by
Hi,
China.
my name is Mitchell, and I'm a grad.
What's up, Mitchell? Gas. Straight gas. That's what that was.
Hi.
How do I title this? The stream. Categories. Comparison of the streams. Because one of the How do I rename it? Oh, there's overlays. Okay. Do I hear nothing? Why is there nothing? Do I hear nothing? Why is there nothing? Oh, I hear that. Let's change the... Do I hear nothing? Why is there nothing? Oh, I hear that. Let's change the... Do I hear nothing? Why is there nothing? Oh, I hear that. Oh my gosh. Let's change the... Stop. Do I hear nothing? Why is there nothing? Oh, I hear that. Oh my gosh. Let's change the... Stop. Do I hear nothing? Why is How do I mute it? How do I mute it? Please. How do I mute it? Okay. It's already there, bro. It's literally already there. Add stream marker. How do I change the title? Your account, select stream, refresh. Live stream. Okay. That guy's a king. Oh, title right there with your dumb Disgruntled streams. So you spell that? With my dumb Disgruntled? Is that correct? Save. Why? Okay, okay. That's me. I am Jordan Alexander. But interesting. 360 video, so you can see around my whole stream latency. Halo.
And unless you go to your dentist.
I want to watch this one video. Let's see if I can find it on the side. I need to fix the mic. Filter. Compressor cylinder gain. Noise gate. Open threshold. What does it sound like? Fix the mic. Sounds ass. Filter. Compressor cylinder gain. Noise gate. Oh, this sounds way better. Open threshold. Better. Open thread. Oh! Better. Open thread. Oh! That still sounds like ass. Try it. Oh! Like ass. Try it. Oh! Like ass. One concurrent viewer? What's up, viewers? We're doing some one concurrent. We're testing out the audio. I just feel like it still sounds so bad. It sounds so bad. Compressor, 3-band equalizer. Yep, we need that. What does it sound like now? What are we working with now? Big head on. What are we working with now? I saw some ass. Big head on. What are we working with now? I saw some ass. What mic is it? What freaking mic is it? Oh, it is that. How weird. Oh well. I want to watch this. RFK Jr. RFK Jr. What the fuck is that guy's name? Milk. What's his name? Is it Chay? Oh, I want them stacked. Bruv. Yeah, I like that. Where art thou? Don't need this. RFK Jr. What's his name? TP USA halftime show. Where is it? Oh my god. Yo, dude. Oh my god, it's a fucking king. Kid Rock. Oh my gosh. Where's Kid? Oh god. Oh my god. Oh, let's fucking go. Is there a better one than this? Oh no way, they got a YouTube for it. Okay, this is epic. This is already epic, okay? They got the number one singer, okay? The number one singer, Kid fucking Rock, in RFK Jr. Oh my god, and take your shirt off. Oh my god. Let's get some pauses going. Let's get some pauses going. Oh, is that beef tallow? My guess is that's beef tallow, okay? Already stained his shirt. Stained, I mean, that's what's going on here? I like that. Oh my god. In what world is that an exercise? You're just bros being bros, dude. Oh my god, this is bros being bros. He has the jeans on. Oh my god, and the hiking boots, baby. He's kind of dressed. And the jeans! We got the jeans on. Terrible fun. Also terrible fun. Oh my god, he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care. He is pretty jacked. I can't lie, he's jacked. He's so icy.
Where's Kid?
Where is he, dude? Kid, where are you? RFK, get in there! Get in there with your jeans on! Oh my god. Man, this is bros and bros. Oh! Yeah, get in there, RFK. What the heck? Whole milk. Whole milk. Maha, make America cringe again. Jesus. Jesus, man. How does that sound with the overlay? How did that sound? And Jesus. Oh! Yeah, get in there, RFK. What the heck? Whole milk. Whole milk. Maha, make America cringe again. Jesus. Jesus, man. How does that sound with the overlay? Not bad. It's not bad, Jordan. It's a great question. I'm gonna watch something that I was already watching and I thought was so funny. It was so fucking funny. This shit was so fucking funny. Holy fuck. It was so fucking funny.
That would be why I would be crying. What made you think...
What is this?
The who?
The big biker woman that you were talking about before?
Me doing something where I lose your trust a little bit and I...
Allowed to have friends. You deserve friends. No.
Having friends. Game of the thing. It was a slip.
Oh, this is when I went to Toys R Us.
Yes.
I used to go crazy at Toys R Us.
I used to go ballistically.
Oh god, do you remember going to Toys?
Hold up.
And I'm in a great mood.
Good.
Don't care.
Do you feel like this is your special day where your aunt and uncle come to take you for your birthday and we get to go to Toys R Us and you can pick a toy?
Oh God, do you remember going to Toys R Us?
Yes.
I used to go crazy at Toys R Us.
I used to go ballistic at Toys R Us.
I used to go fucking insane.
I used to
at
go
Toys R Us.
binky bonky
I
dodge
used to go
donkey.
honestly suck a douche
I
on
used
my
to go
fucking.
suck a
My
dick
brain
on
used
my
to go.
dad.
I used to.
The setup, incredible. Okay, the chemistry here, incredible. Okay, they're going back and forth, all right, building off of each other's energy, and it just gets fucking nuts. And then they smack this man
I
down.
sucked so many fucking daddy dicks when I went to Toys R Us.
I sucked so many dicks when I would go to Toys
Rick,
R Us.
what the hell?
What are you doing, by the way? Think about what you say before you
Like,
fucking
it's
say
just
it.
inappropriate.
It's insane.
Like, we're talking
Toys
about
R Us, there are
kids
kids
at
at Toys R Us. Anyway,
Dude, the ability to riff is so
my brain
crazy.
On
used
my
to go
dad.
easy at Toys R Us.
I used to
You
go
see this?
ballistic at Toys R Us.
I used to go fucking insane.
I used to
at
go
Toys R Us.
binky bonky
I
dodge
used to go
donkey.
honestly suck a douche
I
on
used
my
to go
fucking.
suck a
My
dick
brain
on
used
my
to go.
dad.
I used to suck so many fucking daddy dicks when I went to Toys R Us.
I sucked so many dicks when I would go to Toys
Rick,
R Us.
what the hell?
What are you doing, by the way? Think
You
of
can
this
see
when I
the
went to Toys R Us.
excitement. You can see the excitement in his face. He's like, I'm gonna join in on this too because this is fun. This is fun for me. I'm gonna have fun.
I sucked so many dicks when I would go to Toys
Rick,
R Us.
what the hell?
What are you doing, by the way? Think about what you say before you
Like,
fucking
it's
say
just
it.
inappropriate
It's
when he's-
insane.
like, we're
At
talking
Toys
about
R Us, there are
kids at
kids
Toys
at
R
Toys
Us.
Yeah,
R
there's
Us.
kids here, dude. What the hell's wrong with you, bro? Now that's what we call comedy. What else did I want on? What did I want to? What the hell's happening here, bro? What is that? I wanted to see this man's podcast. I wanted to see his podcast. A bingy dingy dingy dingy. Do I know anyone else? Do I know you? Sure don't. Oh my god, Milo? Whoa. You're still there?
Hi, I'm Milo, and I'm a post-baccalaureate fellow at the National Institutes of Health.
8 months ago? Were they still there? What is happening? Oh, no. Oh. Pain and substance use? Dude, get over it, dude. Get over it. I can do that. I'm part of that community. Bonga donga dangy dingy bunga bunga oonga boonga. Oh.
When Dr. Mike hit me up on Instagram and was in my DMs, I went to the set the next day and showed
10 million subscribers. I'm halfway there. What the hell? What the hell is... What the hell? Where is...
Don't you want to try and disprove your method in order to prove how strong it is?
So at this point in my career,
no.
A SPECT scan takes 3D images of the brain, looking at blood flow and activity. Dr. Amen says the images can be a powerful tool to diagnose underlying problems.
I have more experience in this than anybody probably in the history of the world.
Do you not feel that it's an issue that there is no randomized control data?
Yeah, I like a brain scan by this guy called Daniel Amen.
How do you know what is actually going on in that?
We're trying to always come up with the validated solution to our problems. And when
This is great. This is awesome. This man is... I feel like a charlatan. I don't know how you're a doctor and you think like this. I don't know how you get a medical degree and you think like this. You're wildin', bro. You're wildin'.
when I read people who are smarter than me who understand this field, like the Society of Nuclear Medicine, I don't fully understand what they're talking about. If I can't argue
Me
the
either,
nuances
brother.
with them, I can't argue the nuances with you.
True.
But their statement as an organization that is set out to seek the best for their patients, perhaps imperfectly at times, say that this imaging is not validated enough to be used.
First of all, who cares? What you gotta validate medical stuff before you use it? Oh, yeah, good one, buddy. Yeah. Fucking good one, bro.
And it's not that they're against imaging. They're just saying
No,
that
they
their
are.
imaging is not validated or can be used repetitively across a diverse group of patients. So it's not that they're anti-looking at the
They
brain.
are. They
They're
agree.
anti this specific
They don't even
method
want
because
people
they
to talk
feel
about
that it
that.
doesn't have
But
enough
you know,
evidence.
the Canadian Association of Nuclear Medicine wrote procedure guidelines on SPECT as if I wrote them. That SPECT is indicated for head trauma, for seizures, for dementia.
What does it say? I don't close caption. I can't read, so that doesn't do anything. Canadian does not generally recommend SPECT. Yeah, okay. There's guidelines. And then its major guidelines actually pulls back on even basic brain imaging, limiting it to clear neurological red flags.
For stroke is indicated fact as if
Provide guidelines, not psychiatric practice guidelines. Yeah. Yeah. Just very clever word games there.
I wrote them. That's
because they feel that it doesn't have enough
you know,
evidence.
the Canadian Association of Nuclear Medicine wrote procedure guidelines on
Procedure guidelines for how to do it, but not necessarily as like a treatment.
SPECT as if I wrote them.
This guy literally
SPECT
wrote
is
that.
indicated
He
for
literally-
head trauma,
he-
for seizures, for dementia, for stroke,
Dr. Mike is so out
for
of his league.
addiction, for toxic exposure, for
Toxic
neuropsychiatric
exposure, okay?
indications.
It's exposure
So it
that's
really
toxic.
depends who you read, right?
Well, I'm reading
But
the largest agencies that represent neurologists,
So?
psychiatrists.
So?
These are. It's like me saying something fully against the American Academy of Family Physicians without evidence to say why I'm disagreeing.
They
with
hate
it.
families.
well, I have 90 studies that I have published, and I have the world's largest database. And I
90
actually don't know what the
studies?
point of us arguing about it is. I have more experience in this than anybody probably in the history of the world. And if you don't look, you don't know.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude. If you have the most experience on this topic and you're trying to educate the public and you want to elucidate people on what your method is, then you should be able to talk about it pretty easily. Okay? You should be able to cite this is what it's like using it, this is what it's like when you're not using it, these are the health outcomes, here are some statistics maybe, here's how you can verify it yourself. And then, this man then finishes on some shit you tweet out on social media. If you don't look, you don't know. Great.
And some people go, oh no, we should just continue to look, you don't know.
Look at this. Look at this.
And some people go,
Fuck. I need to slow it down.
oh no. And if you don't look, you don't know.
Okay. So he says that, and then he has to process this. My man's processing.
And some people go,
Stupid.
oh no.
Stupid. You're dumb. That's what he's trying to say. Dumb.
No, we should just continue to do what we're doing, which is a disaster in
It's just a
our
disaster.
society.
There's been nothing good. It's nothing good. Disaster. People are calling it the hurricane of medicine. They're actually calling it the earthquake of medicine, and it's actually quite
And I'm
incredible.
like, no, I don't believe that. We need to do better. And if you don't look, you don't know.
Logically, what you're saying makes sense, and I think evolution-wise, scientifically,
Did you see his teeth? Also, W. Glazers in chat. His teeth are so nice.
all these organizations will agree with you that we need to move in that space. But do we have the randomized controlled data to be able to back these things up?
He's not going to say. Why? Why do we need that? What do we need that for? He's not going to say that.
Give me an example and I'll tell you what the research is.
Well, has there been, let me ask you
we
a
have-
specific question. Is there randomized controlled data on SPECT scans and their efficacy in a specific mental health condition?
Very specific. You know what? Even it's not even that specific, actually. It's actually pretty broad, okay? He can fill in so many gaps. There's so much room for him to take this question and be like, actually, yeah, okay? For depression, we did a SPECT scan and said, wow, this is actually more effective at identifying depression and worse health outcomes than even just patient self-reporting.
Yes.
Which one?
Well, which one?
Oh my god.
Mental health condition.
Oh my god. Yes. Okay. Yes, there is. Yes. And then the I don't know. It's impossible to answer the follow-up questions. Okay, which one? What?
Which one?
He said.
Well, which one do you want to talk about?
Anyone.
I mean, if you go on PubMed.
Well, can you name one right now?
.gov today,
Just one.
You're
Just
the
give me
leading
one.
expert.
to do is distinguishing post-traumatic stress disorder
Okay.
from traumatic brain injury. And because they often present with similar symptoms, but the treatments are actually opposed to each
Okay.
other. PTSD, generally, you want to calm the brain down. Traumatic brain injury, you have to repair and stimulate it. I published 2 studies.
I have no idea how to evaluate any of this. Dr. Mike, come in. Save me. Save me, Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike, if you can hear me, save me, Dr. Mike.
On 21,000 people,
21.
showing
21.
we can separate these groups with high levels of accuracy.
Hi.
In 2016, Discover Magazine listed our research as one of the top 100 stories in science.
Discover Magazine. That's not a fucking... What is that? Discover Magazine Wiki. Is an American general audience science magazine from Time. I mean, it's not a peer review, but I think it's fine. It's a little weird. It is a little weird to cite, but
Science. We could also talk about Alzheimer's disease. There
But that's
are
not a
autopsies.
randomized controlled study.
I'm sorry?
That's not a randomized
sorry.
controlled study.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. I'm the expert. Okay, I got millions of scans, thousands, more scans in the world, and if you don't look, you don't know.
Study.
We're talking imaging.
Yeah.
This is not a pharmaceutical intervention
Duh, Dr. Mike, idiot, dumb, stupid, dumb.
where we're going to do
Well,
a
the goal of doing the
randomized-
imaging is to create more customizable treatments, as you said. And if you have customizable treatments, your outcomes should be better. That's the randomized controlled study.
No, what does this guy know? Has he taken images of thousands? Thousands of patients? Look, you don't know?
and our outcomes are better. We published a study
But
on
that's not the question
500
I'm
outcomes.
asking. Randomized controlled data is really important. Wouldn't you say to develop a causal relationship?
Dude, it's these long pauses that come in.
Randomized controlled data is really important. Wouldn't you say to develop a causal relationship?
I'm sorry. Say this again.
Randomized controlled trials are very
good for
important to
medication.
creation causal interventions. To say that this isn't just a correlation, this is a causative pathway.
What do you think? This is
Neither-
ibuprofen? Does this guy think it's ibuprofen? You can only do it with ibuprofen. Duh, idiot, stupid, dumb.
Randomized controlled data to remove outliers, to create a generalized group, to have them double blinded, to not know which one's
Okay, this guy literally wants to blind people and do it double. Like,
getting
okay.
intervention, which one's not. Because it's great that you're helping people. And I am so for that you're helping people. And I want more of that.
No, you don't.
Now I'm trying to think as a
Well,
family
so
medicine
deprive
doctor,
people of
how
this
can we
stuff.
generalize what you're doing so that I can do it too? But in order for me to do it, I need to know it works from a randomized controlled study. Why don't we have that?
So design it for me, because you're going to randomize. You got imaging, you didn't.
See, Dr. Mike has a picture of a brain, so he knows stuff about the brain. Change your brain, change your pain.
Blinded.
Well, you
right?
can get
'Cause
sham
you know.
imaging.
Okay.
He's looking
You've been doing this since 1991, so I'm trying to look at you as the expert. Like, do you not feel that it's an issue that there is no randomized controlled data? Like, you're asking me to design the trial right now.
We have data that goes, you get better and you don't. So what's the difference in depression of people who got better and those who didn't?
Where are you sourcing those patients from?
Well, from our clinics.
So all your patients are getting the spec. You're not separating into groups of here we're treating patients who didn't get spec.
Well,
versus
no, not everybody gets scanned at our clinics.
But for
We
the
see
research, you're pointing out like you have this study that shows 84% of your patients improved. But we're not comparing them against a group of people who didn't get spec.
No.
No, because they get better, and if you don't look, you don't know. Duh. You don't look, you don't know. I don't know why this guy doesn't get that. You don't look, you don't know. Duh.
Nobody that I know of has outcomes like that.
But do you think that's enough for me to start doing spec in my clinic?
He's not going to do the bad faith thing where he focuses on, I don't care what you do in your clinic. He's not going to do that.
I think if you started doing SPECT in your clinic, it would revolutionize your practice.
And you're saying that as someone who's passionate about it?
I was that wrong. Embarrassing. Cut that. Yeah, cut that.
Or that there's proof of that?
No, I'm saying it as someone who has taught people around the world to do imaging, and they become passionate about it.
Yeah, so we talked about the patient selection of it all earlier, how if you have patients who are highly motivated, it can bias your outcomes. Like we do journal club in my family medicine residency. And part of it is...
It's pretty cool. That's very cool, okay? It's really cool to know. In case you don't know, scientists, researchers, depending on the group, depending on the department, depending on the university, sometimes use something called journal club, where someone, well, it depends on what flavor of it you do, but someone will pick up a publication. You'll go over that publication as like a group. Usually someone will lead until they look at the main figures, they look at the supplemental figures, they look at maybe some additional publications like the one that maybe the work that this new publication was based off of, and it gives you some insight into like, helps you kind of keep up with the literature and engage with stuff pretty critically that may not totally be related to your field, but will help you keep a broader view on things.
Is there a bias from...
So it's cool that a medical doctor is doing all that. That's what I was trying to say.
the patients? Is there a selection bias of who you're selecting? And when you have your clinic,
and they become passionate about it.
Yeah, so we talked about the patient selection of it all earlier, how if you have patients who are highly motivated, it can bias your outcomes. Like we do journal club in my family medicine.
Boom. Okay? Because there's a lot of dipshits out there who don't understand that people don't just design studies or do studies, and then they don't think of the first most basic question, okay? Of which this guy's supposed to be an expert, and he didn't even consider the most basic question. The population that you're looking at that is improving, are you just selecting for a population that was going to improve anyways? Okay? I don't know much about this guy's clinic, but imagine if the clinic was only rich people are going there, people who are well off or higher socioeconomic status, and then they're the ones that are improving. Or, like Dr. Mike is saying, they're highly motivated, and that can be defined in a variety of different ways. Maybe the literature might be defined as like, you know, they go to a doctor and then X, they are more likely to implement whatever change, because that's also a factor in medicine.
In residency. And part of it is there a bias from the patients? Is there a selection bias of who you're selecting? And when you have your clinic, people who love you, is there a chance that you could be introducing bias by only looking at the people who love you, support you, and want your treatment?
Well, I mean, we do have a more motivated group, for sure.
Oh!
we have a group.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. I think it's a more motivated group for sure.
And
You know what? I'm watching this from the perspective that this, I don't even know what this guy's name is. It's just like a little bit of a bad faith actor, but that was he ate that. He ate up that, what do you call it? Gave it away. What is it called? Where he ate up that concession.
Do you think that has on the outcomes that you study?
So we actually did this study this week on compliance because we do a formal outcome study on everybody we see. I mean, I don't know if you know.
A formal outcome study on everyone we see?
Many clinics that do that, but the people who are very compliant.
Is that a thing?
Because we do a formal outcome study on everybody.
Formal outcome studies on individual patients per, I don't know, clinic? Eye clinic? Patient-reported outcome measures. Use of patient-reported outcome measures for patient-related outcomes. Patient-reported outcome measures provide invaluable information. Would you call it a study, though? I don't know. What is he referring to? I don't know.
That do that, but the people who are very compliant get better way faster in much bigger numbers. So we ask everybody about their compliance, and compliance is just huge. I think you will agree with me.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great that you're doing the.
That's actually what I was referring to. Is there's a factor in medicine is how compliant the patient will actually be with the treatment. So I went for the physical therapy, and let's just say if I wasn't doing exercises, I wouldn't have actually had my shoulder wouldn't have done better. So yeah, what do I?
Reassessment, because I feel like that's missed a lot of the time.
Well, very few clinics actually focus on outcomes, and for us, it's research, but it's also on outcomes. Very few clinics actually focus on outcomes, and for us,
what? That sounds crazy to me, but I don't have enough knowledge to like actually engage with that.
It's research, but it's also quality control.
Sure.
And if you're not compliant at all, your outcomes are not very good.
That's for sure. But also mental health patients or patients who have issues with their mental health, they tend to have lower compliance, not because they're bad people or saying something negative.
They
about
are
them.
bad people.
They're going through something.
No, they're
it's
bad
because
people.
their brains aren't healthy. So, I mean, yes, they're going through something.
That is a nothing statement, by the way.
Patients who have issues with their mental health, they tend to have lower compliance, not because they're bad people or saying something negative about them. They're going through something.
No, it's because their brains aren't healthy. So
that's like there's like you're saying you both are saying the same thing, but he has to insert his worldview into the conversation. Well, I don't know how to say it. Like obviously every time you talk, you're inserting your worldview, but how do I articulate that? He's not trying to like critically evaluate. He's just trying to push his message, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, yes,
Well,
they're
sure.
going through something,
Yeah,
but in
the
large
human
part
experience of their
because
depression.
their brains are not healthy. I mean, we
No shit.
might agree, maybe not, that if you're depressed, something's going on in the organ of how you feel, which is your brain.
Sure. And like you're such a proponent of CBT, we say depression can be a chemical imbalance. Well, CBT actually alters the chemicals in your brains, right?
Yes. That psychological treatments like EMDR or CBT.
EMDR, by the way, is so wild. EMDR. It is so fucking wild. Okay? Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I did this because I went to I got DBT, or dialectical behavioral therapy. And you literally just have something that switches between like your left and your right. Sometimes you'll have these like paddles and they'll like vibrate, like it go zzz, 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 zzz. And then you talk about something that was like traumatic. And somehow through this rhythmic sensory input, you're able to like process your trauma more. My therapist would like tap, or like I would tap on my legs, and then I would like talk. I'd be like, my dad left me, and then I'd start tapping like, he did leave me, and that's for real, I'm gone. It's like actually so great. It seems like fake news, but it's real. Peer-reviewed articles. Well, I guess I've never actually read on this, but it seems to be real. Simulation of current variety, including left to right, eye movements, tapping on knees, headphones, or hand buzzers. See? This type of redefining self-assessment, while it's a relatively new type of existing language, demonstrate positive results using this form of therapy when treating patients with PTSD by utilizing eye movements to track from negative conceptualizations of response to a specific trigger while affirming positive self-assessments. Research indicates that EMDR could be a promising treatment for mental health issues other than PTSD, including bipolar, substance use disorder, and depressive disorders. In this article, the 8 fundamental processes of EMDR illustrated through a composite case. I actually don't know how to say that word. And examined alongside relevant research regarding its efficacy in treating PTSD. It's real. It sounds real fake, but it's real effective.
Impact.
DBT, whatever alphabet soup we want to put, they all help with changing the chemical composition.
Right. But you're still advocating, at least what I'm hearing, is you're still advocating for not looking before you go about changing.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this.
Yes.
Alters the chemicals in your brains, right?
Yes. That psychological treatments like EMDR or CBT impact.
DBT, whatever alphabet soup we want to put, they all help with changing the chemical composition.
Right. But you're still advocating, at least what I'm hearing, is you're still advocating for not looking before you go about changing.
It's so telling that that's his impression, is that through Dr. Mike simply asking these questions of like, have you done these trials? And if you haven't done these trials, like, why should people like just accept what you're saying if you don't have this like really, really important tool? And to him, he's basically saying like, you're saying we shouldn't do this at all.
Because I don't want this to feel like a gotcha, because what I'm trying to do is...
It doesn't feel like a gotcha. It feels like a good conversation.
I really want to learn from what you're doing because I want to be a better doctor, genuinely. Like my goal, why I still practice medicine, is because I want to deliver the best care for my patients. And if what you're doing is great, we need to get that message out there to the world as fast as possible, because otherwise people are suffering. So in order to make
What
the
you're doing is
generalization that
good.
everyone should get a SPECT scan before.
But that's not what I said. But
oh,
if I
correct me
get
there.
you to be a better doctor, just start thinking of mental health as brain health. Is this person actively working for their brain's health? You can do that in your practice. And
Without SPECT
there's
scans.
going to be a day when SPECT or fMRI or quantitative EEG or PET.
Let's get a quick SPECT scan. Let's get a single photon emission computational tomography. Is a nuclear medicine imaging test that creates a 3D image. Mayo Clinic. So you just basically get like a kind of like a map of the brain. See parts of the brain, clogged blood vessels, seizure disorders, and Parkinson's disease. Huh. Doesn't say anything about mental health. Interesting. Use for mental health. Some dogs from Turkey. Psychiatric research, clinical application. Substantial amount of psychiatry is based on neuroimaging studies that aim to illuminate neural mechanisms in psychiatric disorders. SPEC is one of those developing easy, less expensive, practical for radio ligand use. This is good. It's cheap, okay, or cheaper. Spatial accuracy by combining functional SPEC with CT imaging. Okay. This is just what? Like a receptor in the brain. Both comprehend neural mechanisms, psychiatric disorder. This mini review focuses on the SPECT-based neural research findings, indicate there are notable changes in biochemical components in certain disorders. Even though many studies support that SPECT can be used in psychiatric clinical, we still only use subjective diagnostic criteria. Okay? It's saying there's some evidence that suggests you can do this, but we still only use DSM-5. Glimpsing into the brain's via SPECT in psychiatric disorders provides more information about the pathophysiology and future implications of neuroimaging. See, this is how like a scientist would talk about it. Or like someone who is trying to advocate for, here, these are that shows that, you know, you can get some more insight using the things like DSM-5 is, has its limitations because you're kind of using a more qualitative approach. Having something that gives you some imaging will give you better insight into what's actually going on. So it could be. I'm not saying it's not. I just think when you hear how someone's talking about this work, and they're clearly bought in, and this is their life's work, they're not really being objective. Pokemon.
That is going to be covered by insurance, and you're going to be able to use it. But what you can do today is you can go, if we improve the health of your brain, your anxiety is going to be less. And it starts with one question. I teach all of my patients, whatever you're going to do today, is it good for your brain or bad for it?
Just
Is it
start
good
with
for
that
your
question.
brain or bad for it? And
How in the fuck would you even assess that?
your anxiety is going to be less. And it starts with one question. I teach all of my patients, whatever you're going to do today, is it good for your brain or bad for it? Is it good for your brain or bad for it? And that will begin to spark a revolution in their life. Now, if you have somebody that's not getting better, you should advocate.
So, the thing is, saying something like, him saying, using this framing that this is going to revolutionize people's lives by using this framework of is X thing good for your brain or bad for your brain? He's making the assertion that this will automatically improve someone's life. There's a world where that question actually is not very useful for someone engaging in life. Okay, maybe that framework puts them in a certain frame of mind that prevents them from actually being able to assess what's like healthy for them. And maybe someone is like spiritual and they're like, what's good for your spirit? And the way that they interpret spirit is like, it's functionally like self-care, basically. Like whatever makes me good, or whatever makes me healthy is their interpretation as like spiritual, and using that framework actually leads to like better outcomes. I'm not saying that that's like necessarily the best framework, but it's like you actually have to test this, even though like it sounds very logical and sound. Not everyone is going to be able to think like, oh, is this good for my brain or bad for my brain? Like,
for them to be imaged, because to continue to fly blind is not anybody's interest.
So for my
again, he's just using these like like one-liners that he's come up with. We're flying blind. If you don't test, you don't. If you don't look, you don't know.
my patients who have such bad major depressive disorder that they can't groom themselves. They have trouble taking a shower. The solution is asking them if
is he frustrated?
have such bad major depressive disorder that they can't groom themselves. They have trouble taking a shower.
Or maybe it's
the solution is asking them
thing.
if what they're doing is good or bad for their brain. You think that's enough motivation to help this individual?
No, it's all of it. See, now I feel
Help
like
this individual. If what they're doing is good or shower.
This is actually a good question.
Have such bad major depressive disorder that they can't groom themselves. They have trouble taking a shower. The solution is asking them if what they're doing is good or bad for their brain. You think that's enough motivation to help this individual?
No, it's all of it.
Dude, it's such a good question because like, you just get them to use this framework of like, is this good or bad for your brain? It's like, okay, well, this person's depressed. They can't even take care of themselves. And what? I'm just gonna say, oh my God, you're depressed. You're not even freaking able to like clean your ass. Like, is it good or bad for your brain? Duh. Just ask that. Duh, stupid.
See, now I feel like you're twisting my words to create conflict.
Please tell me how do I
like if somebody
reasonable question?
Because you're saying the one
if
question.
somebody is that bad, you should be advocating to look at their brain because you don't know if they're living in a mold-filled home that is damaging.
Evidence for using SPECT to diagnose mold toxicity is weak and not validated. Small studies report non-specific abnormalities, but they don't prove causation or establish a diagnostic pattern. Mold toxicity is... Whenever someone starts talking about mold toxicity, it is such a red flag. Black mold. I guess I haven't done a thorough reading of it, but every time I've looked into like black mold, it's nothing. Okay, black mold, you have no idea what kind of like species you're even looking at. I'm sure that there's like it's most likely X or Y type of species, but it's not linked to these crazy health outcomes that people are always talking about. And whenever someone talks about like mold toxicity or shit like that, it's always a red flag.
Their brain.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Why don't we check everyone's brains?
Everybody should be asking themselves that question. Is what I'm doing today good for my brain or bad for it? But do you spend any time as a family doctor asking
about
that
mold?
Question? No. Is this good for your brain or bad for it? Going through their habits or just teaching them to love
I'll be honest, I
care
don't.
for.
I don't, and I'll tell you why I don't. We don't have enough time with our patients, so that's a little bit of a cop out. But at the same time,
Yeah, because that's a really easy question. That's like
Well-
in the 7-minute visit, you can take 30 seconds to ask them that question.
You'd be surprised
But
as
you
a
don't have
family
it in
medicine.
your head.
You know what's funny? Is he says like, one, it's hard to assess stuff like that because we only have so much time with our patients, and then he's like, oh, you could take the 30 seconds to just do that. It's like, yeah, but you can take those 30 seconds and do something else that might be way more impactful than your stupid little questions.
Yet, because we were never taught that mental
well, I was going to
health
tell you
is
why
brain
I
health.
do ask that question without asking the question, is my second point. I ask questions that don't directly ask about the brain, but ultimately point to me behaviors that they have that put their brain at risk. So I ask about smoking. I ask about alcohol. I ask about diet. I asked about intimate partner violence. I ask a PHQ-2 screening question. So while I may not be saying the question as specifically as you are, I am figuring out the mental health state of the brain. So,
but not the brain health state of the brain. See, that is the
Dude, it's not even clear if SPEC does that either.
distinction that if we get anything,
what is that distinction? Because I'm having trouble understanding that.
it's not mental health, it's brain health.
What can you
the distinction is, one is loose, mental health, that's very loose, you yank PHQ-9, GAD-7 stuff, or is your brain healthy? And if you want to...
Or is your brain healthy? Okay. If it's so clear and it's so obvious, why isn't there clinical studies or double-blind studies that show this is what a healthy brain looks like? Like a clearly defined healthy brain. These are the biomarkers. These are, you want this part of the brain to not look so enlarged or whatever. He says it like, oh, is it healthy or not?
Keep your brain healthy or rescue it. You have to prevent or treat the 11 major risk factors. So I told you, so the big 3 ways I want to transform psychiatry: imaging, if you don't look, you really don't know.
Imaging,
natural ways
if you don't look,
to
you
heal
don't
the
know.
brain, in an integrative or functional medicine model. And that's why our model not only works to decrease depression, it helps to prevent Alzheimer's disease.
How would you know? That is such a strong claim.
I think you prevent Alzheimer's disease by prevent or treating these 11 risk factors. And the acronym I talk about is Bright Minds. Like B is for blood flow. Low blood flow is the #1 brain imaging predictor of Alzheimer's disease. S is sleep. And then all sorts of things in between.
So you said that when a patient is that severely depressed, they should get a SPECT scan. Is that true for all patients?
That are that severely depressed?
That they have trouble showering, getting up out of bed?
Absolutely. Because how do you know why they're that way?
Well, the issue that I believe...
Answer the question. How do you know
Oh! He's good
what is actually going on in that person's brain without looking?
By asking them questions, by doing
That's complete crap, Mike. It's complete crap that you...
Oh, man. Do you hear the difference in, it's like this man asks questions and is like, okay, well, how would you assess this? What's your issue with this? And then he asks Dr. Mike a question, and Dr. Mike says, this is how I would do it. And he immediately erupts.
Know what's going on in that person's brain. You're guessing. Now, maybe it's an educated guess, but don't tell me you know, because you completely don't.
Well,
what's funny is by saying that you can use SPECT scan and therefore you know what's happening in the brain, it's actually also not true. You're getting a certain data set from that person's brain, but that doesn't mean you actually know the state of that person's brain. You know it via SPECT, but not actually what's going on. And it's not even clear that that's better than the things Mike is talking about.
Well, here's my defense of why I feel like it's better than just a slightly educated guess. Because when you look at randomized controlled trials for people who get either therapy or antidepressants or sometimes both, we see the improvements. So while it looks on paper like a guess, we see the outcomes hold up, validated across.
I've been doing this for 45 years. You're guessing. And
okay, cool. Okay.
Maybe you can.
Great. He says, I do it like this because we have the health outcomes to show for it. Here are these like randomized, or he hasn't actually saw anything, but here's these randomized controlled things. And then he's saying, I've done this for 45 years, and you're guessing.
Point to some studies that say, oh.
Are you saying there's no studies that show therapy, CBT has
You're completely mixing lots of different concepts.
What
this patient, you don't know because you didn't look. Now,
he just defaults to this little thing.
are there
Are you?
And
but
maybe
why
you
are
can point to
dismissing?
some studies that say, oh.
Are you saying there's no studies that show therapy, CBT has
You're
evidence-based
completely mixing lots of different concepts.
What
This patient, you don't know because you didn't look.
He said, why? Just, it's so unserious. Because he's like, why are you dismissing this thing? He's like, you're mixing up stuff. If you don't know, you don't look.
Now, are there studies on big populations and most of the severely depressed, like you're talking about? There's not one single thing that works for them. They need a combination of things.
I didn't say that they wouldn't. I just said
true.
that there could be a combination.
But you don't know what's causing it.
And I think imaging holds such a key here, which is why I'm trying to figure out how to get it to the masses on a level that is scalable. So I'm trying to figure out how we get there. How do we get SPECT across the APA, the AAN? How do we get everyone
Well, I
on board?
think the Canadian model, I mean, it's covered by insurance in Canada. I think that
That's how you get
is a
paid for.
really great model, that there's a lot of research that when you really understand it and put it together, that imaging plus clinical evaluation, we have better outcomes. And that's
But we
why
don't know
they
that.
wrote the paper. I didn't.
He said it just so casually, like, oh yeah, if we do this and we imaging, and it's better.
For outcomes. And that's
But we
why
don't know
they
that.
wrote the paper. I didn't write it. I'm not an author on it.
But we don't have that. I just asked
No,
you.
we do have imaging and head trauma, imaging and depression,
But I'm not
imaging
asking
and
for
ADD.
imaging.
You're
In order to universally recommend a treatment, you need
it's not a
randomized.
treatment, it's an assessment.
I know the assessment leading to the treatment, which changes ultimately the treatment because it's customizable. In order to verify this, we need to be able to test it with a randomized, double-blinded, controlled study. And in 30 plus years of doing this, you're okay with not one study being done?
So I've published a lot. Like,
Didn't answer the question. So what he's talking about, or what Mike is talking about, which I think is actually a really difficult concept to grasp, because, and it's something that whoever this Dr. Amen is struggling to grasp, is that yes, you do these like double-blind studies for pharmaceuticals, but you can also do it for other things, right? And one of those things that you can do it for would be assessments, okay? If I do whatever survey that Dr. Mike was talking about, that Q2 whatever thing, okay? And from this assessment, it tells me, or I conclude that this patient should do therapy and they're not maybe exercising and they need better sleep. And then when you do the SPECT scan, it's telling them that there's not enough blood flow, and you can improve blood flow via, I don't know, I don't know how you improve blood flow, but the conclusion is that you improve blood flow. And so you have two different treatments because you have two different diagnostics. And so the diagnostic will, in essence, lead to the treatment. And so if you do these like double-blind studies, you'll be able to assess which one is going to lead to better outcomes because you're actually assessing the problem correctly. And this guy's just not understanding it at all.
I published on NFL players, and I published on here's the pattern for it. Here's the pattern that after treatment.
It's so funny because if you have the thing is, if you have so much data, you should be able to have like very, very easily like these are the things you should look out for diagnostics. Here's the setup for the clinical trial. The fact he hasn't even thought about any of this or like tried to pursue it and is just like so mind blown as to like why Dr. Maxey's been asking these questions is like astounding.
I haven't done a study where, okay, everybody gets scanned, but we only use the scans in half the people and see. I think that's the study you're thinking about.
Well, let me ask it to you in a different way that takes us out of the equation. If a pharmaceutical company came out and said, we have this medication, it works, we never tested it against any other placebo, no randomized controlled data, but everyone who takes it loves it, would you buy into that pharmaceutical? Or would you say, where is the data with spec scans?
15,000 abstracts on spec.
He like doesn't understand like the second it comes to spec, he's like, yeah, of course you have to see that data, you know? You can't just take that, oh, it worked for these people. You have to see the data. And then he's like,
on PubMed.gov today.
But again, we're talking about the need for the randomized controlled data to be able to take bias out of the equation. You said you have a more motivated patient population. These are all issues that can make actually spec not helpful for people. And perhaps a spending of money that is not valuable given how constricted our healthcare spending is already or needs to be.
So you're arguing we should just continue to fly blind?
No.
oh my God, oh my gosh. It's like he just doesn't engage with anything. He's just like, Dr. Mike again is just like, you know, we need to make sure that this is actually effective. This is why these clinical trials are important. So we should just fly blind. It's like, no, it's funny because ironically, this guy's actually the one saying that we should fly blind. Like, we don't even need these tests. I already know it works, okay? He's the one that's actually advocating for the flying blind, quote unquote.
Oh, I argue, but see, do you think I am advocating for flying blind? Can I tell you what I'm advocating for? Then you tell me if you agree with my notion. I think we should test SPECT to see if we can improve and no longer fly blind. And if it's not SPECT, perhaps it's something else. You don't think that's reasonable of me to say that?
What are you going to say, buddy?
No, I think more studies.
One study?
I think that would only help.
Yeah, I agree too. And I'm curious, why do you think they haven't been done?
I don't know.
I don't know. The first study that was presented in 1992 at the American Psychiatric Association is they took...
I don't want to go home. There's something really bad happening at home. What's happening at home? I don't know. But it's really bad. What is it? I don't know. We could not find any peer-reviewed article or API abstract supporting the claim that scanning 100 bipolar teens with SPECT cut hospital stays and saved $15,000 per patient.
100 bipolar teenagers. 50 of them were scanned on the day of admission. 50 of them were never scanned.
So
they looked at the average length of stay. For the kids who were never scanned, it was 44 days. Now, this was when you could actually keep people in psychiatric hospitals. For the kids who were scanned, it was 15 days. It was an average cost savings of $15,000 per hospital stay. Is that the kind of study you're thinking about?
No, but it's getting there. That's a great preliminary piece of research that I think we can build upon, because I think we would agree that there's a hierarchy of evidence for recommendation.
Favorable cost per unit, increasing quality of life, hierarchy of clinical utility, group mean difference, patient versus control, favorable test statistics for diagnosing individual, diagnosis with tests more accurate than clinical diagnosis, test result requires a change in treatment, the change in treatment results in a better medical outcome, benefit of imaging outweighs risk, test results lead to improve quality of life, favorable cost per unit, increase in quality of life. So it's cheaper and improves outcomes.
For deciding between causation and correlation. You agree with that?
Yeah.
So to me, unless we have that randomization where we take two groups, ideally match them as best as we can, randomize them so they don't know what they're getting, blind them, test the outcomes based on the treatments being more customizable.
He wants to blind them. He wants to get in an airplane, test these people, and they're blinded. He literally wants to fly blinded.
In the SPECT category. And then if we see this drastic improvement, everyone changes their mind. AAN, APA's recommending it. We're all getting it done.
Yeah, see, that would be great if that happened.
You don't want to make a push for that on this podcast?
No.
I'm not sure this podcast is going to get us to where we need to go.
He's so mad. Oh, what, your little rinky dinky piece of shit podcast? You think this is going to really push the needle? Okay, well, bro, yeah, sure.
Why not? That would surprise me.
But this is so valuable. Like, I feel like SPEC can help so many people based on the way you're presenting it.
I think it can too.
But so if we present randomized controlled data to the AAN, APA, we publish it in the Lancet together, let's say.
Together.
We can change the practice in the United States. Isn't that something you would want?
Absolutely.
So what's stopping us from doing it?
He's so mad. He's so mad. He's actually... He's shutting down.
I'm all for it.
Okay. Well, at least you're for it. That's really exciting. Because when we think about...
Oh my God. He's just so mad. He's just so upset.
People who are critics of SPECT, I want to prove them wrong, right? Because I want to help people and I'm on your side and I want to figure out how to get this done correctly. But if we're trying to do scientific research, it shouldn't be done in a way where Secretary Kennedy said, we're going to prove that this causes this.
True.
Scientific research starts with asking
True. This is when Kennedy was like, we're going to show the cause of autism. And then all of a sudden we're going to do a fucking dumb fucking press briefing. And they say, oh my God, what was it, ibuprofen, Tylenol is what's causing autism? Wow, and it meets with your timeline. And then it's like, oh, actually, this is dog shit. There's nothing that implies this at all. We have to walk that back. My bad. Whoopsie. Whoops.
Hypothetical, asking a question, creating a hypothesis, disproving yourself, proving the null hypothesis, not just agreeing with yourself or seeking to agree with yourself. Do you agree with that?
So you want to fly blind?
I was thinking...
You want to set out to disprove yourself if you're doing research. Because ultimately, if you can't disprove yourself, that makes your information stronger. And look, there are some instances where correlation can be strong enough where you actually don't need a randomized controlled trial. Because with
how do you do a randomized controlled trial on you have Alzheimer's or you don't? I mean, they have autopsy confirmed data that Alzheimer's disease, which has been described in the literature for 35 years. So you need better data than that to say SPECT can help in the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease.
I need SPECT to differentiate itself from the standard of care as it exists today for it to be found valuable and widespread recommendation.
Okay. And I would argue for...
Because SPECT...
He's not going to say, I would argue it's better than not flying blind. And no, you don't see that. You can't see it in flying blind.
SPECT is expensive. SPECT has radiation.
It's very
It can
minor.
fuel misdiagnosis.
Dude, he's
So I also don't want to
seething.
overdo
He's
it with SPECT. So I'm
seething.
trying to find the reason.
He's like seething.
It can
It's literally
fuel
emotionally very bad.
misdiagnosis. It
He
can
goes,
fuel. So I also don't want to overdo it with SPECT. So I'm trying to find the reasonable middle ground.
you want to fly blind.
Okay.
Is that on?
Okay. 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 Okay.
Is that on? I don't. Correct me if I. Please disagree with me.
Yeah. You're arguing for the status quo until someone can show you a randomized controlled trial for a specific.
Oh my god, is he like just discovering like how medicine works and how medical improvements work? No, he's not. He's not, right? He's not saying, hey, what? You want me to show that this works better than what we're doing now, and until I do that, I can't just try whatever the fuck I want? What the hell is this?
Specific diagnosis until you're arguing for the status quo until someone can show you a randomized controlled trial for a specific diagnosis. Although I gave you the one with bipolar disorder. Yeah, I'm just thinking flying blind's not the answer.
Oh my god. What? So we gotta test it before we do it, and I gotta show that it works better than standard of care? Let's just say I got a congenital disorder and I can't see it and I want to become a bird. Yeah, sure, dude.
I agree. I don't think we disagree.
And I
on that.
didn't. You didn't bring this up, and you probably don't know. The American Psychiatric Association last year named me a thought leader, and
That's my face, dude. Yeah, you probably don't know this, but they literally named me a thought leader. So flying blind.
I'm not
Created a
attacking you
whole-
here. This isn't. I'm not anti your work. I'm trying to figure out how to get your work to more people. We're on the same team, helping patients.
yeah, and hopefully bringing psychiatry into the
I agree.
21st century rather than making diagnoses just based on symptom.
I
clusters.
agree.
Rather
I
than
think,
flying blind.
I'm just trying to do it without doing it prematurely, because with any medical intervention, there could be
I
drawbacks.
think we did it prematurely. I think.
But you don't have one randomized controlled trial.
Well, we're not thinking about it in exactly the same way.
That's
1992.
very clear.
If I get a scan on the
Very
day of
clear.
admission, it cuts hospital days 67%. That's pretty exciting. And what I saw
Agreed,
as a clinician is it changed what I did 8 times out of 10. Not only did it increase compliance and decrease stigma, it made me more effective because I had a roadmap.
You would be able
I
to.
think that's great. But again, how do
All of these literally just the dialogue tree talking points. It, increase efficiency, decrease stigma. It.
Because I had a roadmap.
Gave me a roadmap.
It made me more effective because I had a roadmap. As a clinician, it changed what I did 8 times out of 10. Not only did it
Get that out. I think that's great. But again, how do we get that out there? Because I'll give you an example. So, for my
This fucking idiot, this Dr. Mike fucking idiot is about to be just be like, let's just say strap a kite on my back and jump off a cliff and put and cement shut my eyes. That's what he's about to argue for.
patients who are over the age of 40, I can do the ASCVD risk score, which is their 10-year risk score of having
He's literally strapping a kite on his back right now.
a stroke or heart attack. Now I plug in some numbers into this calculator, and I or of having a stroke or heart attack. Now I plug in some numbers into this calculator, and I get a percentage. This based off this percentage, I can decide course of action for this patient. And the reason why I'm comfortable using the score calculator is because it's validated across diverse patient population, randomized controlled studies done on it, seeing what the actual outcomes are from doing this risk score calculator, as well as the interventions that follow. There are some people who make their own risk score calculators in the cardiovascular world, and they choose their own numbers to plug into their calculator. Here's why I don't agree with it. Because it's not validated across a diverse group of patients. Do you see why I don't like their calculator as opposed to the 10-year ASCVD calculator? But some of them will come and show that their calculator helps 84% of their patients. Now, using their anecdote of helping their patients, should I then just throw away my other calculator and say, patients, I'm going to use this new calculator now because this person said this about their clinic? Or should there be a level of skepticism, like your father said, and said, BS, no, let's test it? Or should we just
oh my gosh, that's kind of like a inciting someone back to themselves, or better yet, someone they look up to. Like, should we? Oh my god, what a fucking killer thing to say. What a killer thing to say. Or should we do it like your dad, like your father did?
Accept it.
Well, I think you should test it, which is why we do outcomes on all of our patients. Now, is that going to randomize? Is that going to go with your patients? No, but your patients will be better if you added imaging.
But you can't
are
say
we
that.
going to talk about the book at all?
Well, I mean,
added imaging.
but you can't
are
say
we
that.
going to talk about the book at all? Or
Well, I mean,
What? We didn't talk about the fucking book. Why would you want to talk about the book when it's not going to change anything on this fucking piece of shit podcast?
this is a premise of your book, no?
imaging is not the premise
SPECT
of my book.
is not in your book?
It's in the book, but it's not
There's
the premise
images
of
of SPECT
the
in the
book.
book.
We're not going to talk about the book.
Oh my god.
What do you mean? We talked about pain. We talked about the cycle of pain, how your brain has this blueprint that it starts cycling between that we're on board with. We talked about Dr. Sarno's work. Do you feel like I'm being unfair? If you think so, please tell me.
Yes.
How so?
Because you're like...
You're flying blind, okay? You are trying to get hollow bones and feathers and web your arms to your side of your body, and you want to dip your head in a thick wax that cannot see through, and you want to jump off a cliff, okay? You're trying to fly blind.
Going on the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, you just keep on saying, oh my god, give me a randomized clinical trial on this. Like, oh my god, show me that it works better than standard of care. What the hell? Like, 15,000 patients, images, hundreds of thousands, flying blind.
No, it doesn't feel fun or fair. But I love talking about our work, and it's interesting to me often.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
And I've been criticized, and very few people go, so you've seen more scans than anyone in the history of the world. What have you learned? And as opposed to, well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and you should have done this, and don't you think it'd be better if you did that?
All of those, you should have done this, and you should have done that, and you should have done that. It's been the same single question that this guy's been squirming around. Do you think there should be randomized controlled trials and compared to standard of care? And he hates that is the one question. It's not a whole bunch of like nitpicking. It's the central question. It's the only question.
As opposed to, so what did you learn from nearly 300,000 scans?
Are you saying I said that?
No, that from nearly three. As opposed,
Oh my god! It's dude. These pauses are like comedic.
to, so what did you learn from nearly 300,000 scans?
Are you saying I said that?
So what did you learn? That, as opposed to, so what did you learn from nearly 300,000 scans?
Are you saying I said that?
No, that it just doesn't feel like it, right? I mean, I can only tell you my experiences. Feels like.
But don't you think I should be a skeptic?
It'd be better if you did that, as opposed to. So what did you learn from nearly 300,000 scans?
Are you saying I said that?
No, that it just doesn't feel like it, right? I mean, I can only tell you my experiences. Feels like.
But don't you think I should be a skeptic on behalf of my patients?
He just, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. If Michael's a bad faith person, that is like the ultimate manipulator, like deflator. Like he just, oh my god, this Eamon guy just tried to like really go in and attack him, and then he's like, yeah, but shouldn't I do this on my patients? It's almost like, it's like when Republicans talk about, but the kids!
I think you should be curious.
So am.
Behalf of your patients, that if you could help them have a better brain, they would have a better life, and that things like
the question is that actually what's happening? That is the question. That is the question, my friend. That is the question. That you keep on saying is not the question. You're saying it as a matter of fact, but it is the question.
Alzheimer's disease. So I wrote a book in 2005 called Preventing Alzheimer's Disease, and got no end.
Dude, this guy's a fucking thought leader, dude. Holy fuck, this guy's a fucking thought leader. Fuck.
Grief. It's like that's
Why?
giving people false hope. And last year, The Lancet came out with an article that said 50% of Alzheimer's is preventable.
Modifying 12 risk factors over the life course could delay or prevent 40% of dementia cases, according to the Lancet Commission on Dementia Prevention, Intervention, and Care. It says could delay or prevent. He
Out
said
with an article that said 50% of Alzheimer's is preventable. And
50% of Alzheimer's is preventable. Got the percentage wrong. He said could delay or prevent.
And
What were the tips that you gave in that book?
so it was bright minds. You want to keep your brain healthy or rescue it, you have to prevent or treat these 11 risks. Because diabetes, if you have diabetes, you have all 11 risk factors. Just that one. So
Diabetes
it's going
really
back to
not
really
good for you.
creating
Really not good for you.
this revolution in brain health. getting people to love it.
You know what would be good to start this revolution? The first concrete piece of evidence to change practice globally.
And care for their brain. And if I was a family medicine doctor, I would be thinking as mental health as brain health.
Like the need for treating patients with prediabetes. I frequently struggle, actually.
Oh my God, he's self-regulating so much that his cheeks are
Patients
flare.
with prediabetes. I frequently struggle, actually, in finding motivation from my patients when they do flag on their labs having a heme motivation.
It looks like AI for him to like do the little monkey face.
From my patients when they do flag on their labs having a hemoglobin A1C in that level, of saying, hey, this is when it's reversible. Because once technically, maybe there's some outliers. Once you become a diabetic, you're a diabetic for life, at least in terms of your risk factors. Weight loss, extreme weight loss can seemingly
He's in
control
another
it
dimension.
because we've seen those who have bariatric surgery
Totally
not
different.
need medications anymore, even though they were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. But in the majority of cases, the time when it's reversible is the pre-diabetic stage. So I struggle in helping my patients get motivation there. So which of these 11 recommendations in the Alzheimer's book do you think that we're
Trying to
lacking
pivot
in
away.
the primary care space so we can encourage doctors to do it?
Emotional kid to calm down.
That so much of these bad things that happen to your parents that we can prevent if we work together to be very serious about it. So one of the beautiful parts about imaging, on my podcast, we had Julius Randle recently, three-time NBA All-Star. He's depressed, smoking way too much pot, about to get divorced.
What's wrong with that?
And he saw a scan.
Sounds cool.
And he's like, oh no, I don't like that.
He saw his scan. He took a look at his scan and he knew. Okay, he's like, fuck, that's my fucking scan. Fuck.
Immediately stopped smoking pot. And a year later, his life's completely different because the images created an idea in his head that if he didn't do the right thing, it was going to get worse and he would be worse. And if he did the right thing, it could be better. One of the reasons I fell in love with imaging. It's creating the hope, and hope is tomorrow can be better and I have a role in it. It's creating that sense of agency in your patients. And if they don't
You know what? That's a great story. And I'm sure that scans actually could have that effect and go to make mental health actually way more tangible as opposed to this like amorphous, esoteric idea of like mental health. I'm sure that that is the case. It'd be great if you could show evidence of that.
get a scan, you could show them the images. If we don't do the right thing, your brain is headed this way. But if you do the right things, it can be better, which is why my first big book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, I think worked because it was a book of strategies and hope.
Great.
Yeah, because using that motivational tool as a behavior modification tool could be quite valuable. Like I actually am not against finding unique ways of trying to motivate my patients because ultimately, if I had to say my biggest struggle outside of our healthcare system is finding motivation in my patients who...
That's even what I said, if there are unique ways for you to get people to actually change their behavior, then that is good. You just need evidence to freaking show that and support that.
are perhaps depressed or maybe don't even have a formal diagnosis, but have issues with life that are ongoing, that aren't easily resolvable, custody battles, divorces, etc. So my only concern with using the imaging as the compliance benefit is that if you were just using it in that way, I see the benefit. But then when you're criticizing the rest of the psychiatric community, it's almost impacting our ability to practice medicine because we're not doing the imaging.
Oh,
Do you see?
Ooh. Now you went on like, what is this? Would you give it up? I don't know how much the rest of this. Ooh. He's saying, oh my gosh, not only is there no evidence that this is good, there's actually some evidence that it might be fucking bad because you're making my fucking job who's actually shown that this is useful, much harder to do.
What I'm saying with that?
Yeah, but I can't not say what I believe the truth is, because then the field will never change.
But why
and
can't
if
you
the
just say
field
the
never
tool
changes,
is beneficial?
I'm sorry?
Why can't you just say this is beneficial, this is how I motivate my patients? But when you say we're flying blind, you're creating this distinction for patients that are saying, we don't see doctor.
This guy, Dr. Mike, once again wants a propeller to come out of his nose, a propeller to shoot out of his back and out of his butt, and he wants the blackest of black paint painted over his cornea, okay? And he wants to take off and fly blind. It's just ridiculous.
Dr. Heyman, we see Dr. Mike, we're going to get subpar blind care. Why would we ever do that?
True.
Why would anyone want to go see a doctor that's flying blind?
It's a good question.
But do you see how it sets up the dichotomy?
He's saying, don't do this is causing an issue for us. And he's like, yeah, that's the point.
For patients, Heyman, we see Dr. Mike, we're going to get subpar blind care. Why would we ever do that? Why would anyone want to go see a doctor that's flying blind?
It's a good question.
But do you see how it sets up a dichotomy for patients where they have to make this terrible decision and they're already not in a good mental health space? So I'm curious, can we use it as a compliance booster, but not necessarily shame the rest of psychiatry? And instead...
So how do we move forward if we don't
research.
say that what we're doing is flawed?
We need to... Well, first of all, you could say what we're doing is flawed. But I think it's not fair to say you have the solution until we have the randomized control data.
Yeah.
You could say
and
you're working
I don't
towards
agree
that
because
solution.
I have outcomes on thousands of patients. I mean, I published the outcomes on the first 500.
Okay, this is what could happen, okay? Someone gets sick, and you tell them to eat carrots, and they get better. Okay? 100% of those people are going to get better. Or, sorry, maybe 97%, 99%. You know, there's going to be 1% of people that die, not from the carrots, but because the illness was so severe. You can just conclude, like, I mean, the outcome was that they're better. You're not actually comparing it to, like, anything. You're comparing it to what they were before to what they are after. But there's so many other factors. And you have no, it's just, it's so silly. He's a silly man.
And this is what I believe, that if you don't look, you don't really know. And it's not based on 40 cases
Yeah, I'm not saying it
we've
is.
seen. It's based...
You keep saying these criticisms and defending them that I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you have a limited number of cases. I'm not saying anything negative about you. I'm just saying that the randomized control data that I need for universal recommendation is missing. And I feel like that's important. I mean, the critics of SPECT say, depending if you have a cup of coffee, certain parts of the brain imaging will change. It's the same way that...
Fact-check psychiatric brain imaging studies show a high degree of variability within groups of healthy and ill subjects, often with considerable overlap.
consistent over time. There's a study from UCLA, Ishmael Mena, that over 3 weeks, there's less than 3% variability. Plus, in our clinic, we do two. We do one at rest, one when you concentrate. And so we have 100,000 rest concentration scans.
Okay, but that's... I think it is... Well, what he said, if what he said is true about, like, there's consistent within the patient, that is interesting. But that doesn't necessarily... Well, I guess maybe that does show that. Never mind.
And your pattern is going to be your pattern, unless you get drunk. It does change during the time of your cycle, which is very interesting. If you never believed in PMS, the scans during different times of the cycle will...
That's not... That's... He just gave an example where for 50% of the population, it changes depending on where they're at in their cycle.
convince you it can be a real thing. Yeah, no, they're very consistent.
Because he's probably used that as a talking point in another context where he's like, oh, this is good for, if you have PMS and you want to show that it's real, and then the people now believe it's real. And then he's like saying, but now he's saying it in this context where, I've shown that the people's scans are different depending on where they're out in their cycle. And it's like, well, in this context, that's actually a bad thing for the tool.
Just an overtime.
Well, given the fact that certain things interfere with them, couldn't that make it weaker? Like, for example, when I prescribe a patient to get a HIV screening test, right? I know the sensitivity and specificity is to a level that I'm comfortable.
Oh my God. Let me slow down because this man is emotionally regulating like crazy.
I know the sensitivity and specificity is to a level that I'm comfortable giving this test to someone who has no symptoms. But in these scenarios, what is the sensitivity of a SPECT scan on the same person, weeks apart, across a diverse group of people?
I'm just thinking
and does it hold
frontline's
up?
not a good
We don't know
thing.
that yet.
Well, Maina said it was less than 3%.
Well, in that study, but I'm saying the randomized controlled data is missing to be able to diversify it. Again, I'm not talking about the initial research. I think the research that you're doing is so important because you need foundational research. The first doctor that said wash your hands in between the morgue and delivering patients was viewed as someone who's making stuff up and sees something on
Yeah,
their
he
hands.
died in poverty.
In the
Crazy.
insane asylum or something.
Right.
So Ignis Semmelweis. But we need to be able to test whether or not these things are valuable. And I don't understand why you're not leading the charge for that as the number one proponent.
I've published more research than almost anybody on
But there's a
SPECT.
difference between
I
publishing
published
outcome
on
data.
Outcomes, how it changes clinical
Keeps
practice.
on saying the same thing. Why don't you want to do a freaking randomized control clinical and any of this? And then he says, oh, I publish papers. And he's like, well, that's not that. There's outcomes. Well, you know that there's a flaw. Oh, it's the same thing. It's just the same thing.
Practice. I published on ADD multiple times. We have a new study coming out on bipolar disorder. We published on traumatic brain injury. I published review papers. There's a lot of published research on it. We haven't done your study.
So we haven't done the thing you want to do, but we have studied it. Well, it's not the thing I want to do. It's the thing that's required when you're trying to assess standard healthcare.
I'm saying it's my study.
Or the one
From
that
the
you
hierarchy of
keep talking
evidence.
about over and over again in the last hour or so.
Well, if you're trying to find
but
out something...
we've published a lot. I mean, it's very important for people to understand. In my book, The End of Mental Illness.
Oh, he's starting to build up. He's starting to build up. I'm going to take you out, Dr. Mike. I'm going to take you out in your little rinky-dink podcast.
There are 1,084 references because if I'm going to make this big idea, paradigm shift, stop calling it mental illness, start calling these things what they really are, they're brain health issues, that I have to be able to back that up and talk about a lot of the research on SPECT for a wide variety of conditions. But
If you're this leading expert, these should be cakewalk questions. We haven't done it because it's too challenging, or it's technically challenging, or we didn't get it approved. Like, these would be like, you'd have something real other than like, oh, this is the first time I'm ever even considering something like this. I don't even know what you're talking about.
even though I can tell you the pattern for OCD, I can tell you the pattern for autism, it
I have OCD.
doesn't say what your brain
Scan my brain, King.
who has OCD looks like. And if you don't, because if all the patterns were 80% sensitive and specific, and we have ADHD data that's way higher than that, but not everybody has that pattern. That's why you look, not because SPECT can say, oh, you have this or that diagnosis. You and I can say you have this or that diagnosis. What you and I can never be able to do, is to go, this is your brain pattern, and that's how I need to target the treatment to you, not your cluster of symptoms.
We can change the threshold in imaging to make it appear different.
So,
Meaning
what does that mean?
Basically
Yes,
what
I
I'm
can
saying-
make your scan look terrible by changing the threshold.
Well, that's what I'm
But why
saying.
would I do that? I mean, I make how we
Well,
render
when we
the
make a
image.
threshold for what is prediabetes, we take a diverse set of people that is generalizable.
I don't think you understand this point. Basically, that like if you have these like 5 indicators in your scan, therefore you have ADHD or whatever, is basically what he's saying. You can just make it a very, very high threshold, or that maybe in combination with something, then you can use that as like your diagnostic criteria.
For the individual. And because we have this randomized controlled data, validated data, we can then say above 5.6, you're entering prediabetes. Above 6.5, you're getting diabetes. But with these thresholds, do we have validated thresholds to say this is where you should set your imaging parameters? We do.
Yeah,
And what-
with normal. We have normal, so average is 72%. So SPECT is a study of relative blood flow. What that means is we take the coldest spot in the brain, make that 0, the hottest spot in the brain, make that 100, and we scale everything between these two poles. And the average, most parts of the brain outside the cerebellum, is 72. And so 2 standard deviation is 6, 2 standard deviations, 84. So above 84%, we think that's increased activity in the brain. Below 60%, we actually use 55 for safety. 2 standard deviations or more below. Those are the thresholds. That's how we set it. Again, very consistent with the data from UCLA.
I have an idea for that randomized controlled study that you mentioned that I could design. What about taking people, randomizing them into 2 groups, scanning actually both groups with SPECT, but for one group, not using the SPECT data to guide treatment?
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier.
So you're not treating off of that, but you're still randomized. Doctors still don't know. I mean, the patients still don't know which group they're in. And then going treatment-wise, and then seeing their outcomes from a clinical perspective, seeing how they're doing through patient surveys, and then also looking back at their SPECT, redoing their SPECT and seeing if there's a change. Isn't that a great study that could truly perhaps prove that SPECT can be generalizable to the general public?
Yes, no, I think that's a great idea. And
He's like, oh shit, you could do something.
then we'd
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
probably need 3 or 4 independent Aveman Clinic sites to do that as well.
I think it's an important question to ask. If we do that randomized controlled study that we've just talked about, and it turns out that it's not useful, would you give it up?
Absolutely not.
That's great. That is so crazy. I mean, that is just human nature, and that is just human nature. But it's just like, hey, if you were able to demonstrate that this actually is not effective, would you just like stop? Nope.
Why?
Because how am I going to know if your symptoms are a result of your brain working too hard or not hard enough, if it's toxic or traumatic?
You can use a different imaging thing if you don't want to do the fucking thing where you grow fucking metal out of your arms and you get engines that grow out of your armpits and you got a glass thing for your eyes and then you get bird shit that covers your eyes and you go blind, okay? You can do other stuff that's not that.
Just asking me to give up, 35 years of experience showing how imaging changes what I do or guides what I do based on a study of 50 people.
Well,
now, I suspect the study will
be... Now he's doing the thing that he accused him of doing earlier. Oh yeah, you want to take 2 guys, Chester and Lester from down the street, and you want to just study them, and if that doesn't work, then I quit and throw away billions of seconds of my time. Yeah, that makes sense.
Why'd you underpower my study so quickly?
Well, there's 300 people, right?
What if
I'm
it's
not
10,000?
giving up imaging because if you don't look, you don't know. I mean, there's this thing called
Well, if you don't look, you don't know. Got him.
face validity that it makes. I mean, there are just so many advantages to imaging that, probably if there were 50 studies done like that, 40 of them would come out positive and maybe 10 wouldn't. Why? Well, you've been around research long enough to go, whatever.
No way. He's giving the ultimate charlatan answer. You can just make research up. Whatever you want.
Whatever the person thinks is going to happen, they'll set it up to make it happen. Maybe you have way more confidence in imaging in research than I do, but one statistician told me that 16 out of 17 statistics lie, depending on.
Here are the stats of the stats that lie. Are those one of the 16 that lie then?
What people think. You saw Dr. McCary just come out recently with the hormone study, and he goes, when you actually read the study, they made that huge recommendation that kept HRT from women for 20 years, that it was actually based on flawed data. So I'm not giving up the idea.
The data from WHI is not nor was ever proven to be flawed. The mainstream press made error conclusions based on incorrect.
That imaging is useful. Can we use it better? Absolutely. And we're using AI tools in studying all of our patients' data. Because they allow us to
Why didn't you say AI, dude? We don't even need randomized controlled trials. You got fucking AI, dude. You got fucking ChatGPT. Look at this thing, okay? Chat and Claude.
Studying anonymized data. So in my mind, no, I wouldn't give it up. But there's ways to use it better. I'm certain.
You said like 16 out of 17 research articles are flawed.
No, I said 16 out of 17 stats lie.
Does that apply to your research?
No, 16 out of 17 statistics lie.
Oh,
so
is that true about your research as well?
No.
Why?
Because we want it to be reproducible.
But the rest of the scientific community doesn't? I'm just asking why your assumption is that this randomized controlled study would be flawed, but yours aren't.
You said I didn't have any randomized controlled trials.
I didn't say your randomized controlled trial. I said your trials. I just don't know why there's...
Oh, I gotta remove the speed up. It is so awkward.
Such a trial.
Want it to be reproducible. No, 16 out of 17 statistics lie.
Oh.
So
is that true about your research as well?
No.
Why?
No.
Because we want it to be reproducible.
But the rest of the scientific community doesn't?
Just such a great question.
I'm just asking why your assumption is that this randomized controlled study would be flawed, but yours aren't.
Trials.
I didn't say your randomized controlled trial. I said your trials. I just don't know why there's such a negative push to the scientific field. Like we're now discounting data. Negative push to the scientific field.
There is nothing in there, bro. There is 3 drops of water.
Like we're now discounting data because you're saying data is always flawed. But you use data.
So you don't believe that? Really? I mean, after all the time you've been a doctor.
Well, what's the question?
When you read
specific
the
question?
studies.
Please
Let's just take the
ask me a
one
question.
Dr. McCary, who's
the question.
You don't believe that? Really? I mean, after all...
What's so funny is like, you don't believe that after all the research that you've been around? This guy was citing studies earlier. And now all of a sudden they're like 16 out of 17 statistics lie, and you can have studies do whatever you can have studies say whatever you want them to say, but yet you could cite them earlier. So were those part of the 16 out of 17, or were those the studies that people didn't want for them to say what they were saying, but they were saying them anyways? Like,
the time you've been a doctor.
Well, what's the
when
question?
When you read
specific
the
question.
studies,
Please
let's just take the
ask me a
one
question.
Dr. McCary, who's the commissioner of the FDA,
Women's Health Initiative.
cited
Let's do it.
that when he actually went and looked at the data, it actually said the opposite of what the press release came out.
He even cited what the fucking fact check was saying. What the press release said.
Out and said, which then hurt millions of women.
The medications that were used in that trial were appropriate for what that trial was trying to achieve.
He knows the trial. Get us off.
And what we were trying to extrapolate for it was not what the study was trying to achieve. In addition, the way that the study patient selected, which carries a tremendous impact on the study, they tried to pick people without menopausal symptoms, hot flashes, all of these things, because they were worried that if people saw their hot flashes improve, they would know and it would no longer be a blinded study. So there are criticisms of the research, and there's always criticisms of the research.
Always.
But my concern is that when you're ready to write off the research that disagrees with you, you're part of the problem that you just said.
He's writing off the research that disagrees with him on the premise that all research is flawed.
That if you...
No, sorry. That all research is basically fake and you can make anything up.
You're just seeking to agree with yourself that how the scientific community says that that you just said they do that. They try and get...
Oh my God, he just told him, you're doing the thing that you're accusing the scientific community of doing, which is like, you want it to be true, therefore it's true, which is what he is doing. He wants spec to be true, and therefore it's true. And he's not even interested. He literally said, I'm not even interested in changing what I'm doing if I find out that it's not really real or effective.
Research that agrees with that. Don't you want to try and disprove your method in order to prove how strong it is?
So at this point in my career, no.
Why is that?
That if I looked at your scan, I feel really confident.
I feel really confident. I feel really confident. I feel real confident. I feel real confident that I need psychiatric care after this video.
That it tells me how healthy your brain is, if it's overactive, if it's underactive, compared to not just our normal group, but our hundreds of thousands of scans. And for you to just sit here and go...
Because for you to just sit here and get prosthetic wings and a prosthetic tail that also has wings, and for you to want to breathe fire on the villages, and then you get shot in the freaking eye by 2 archers, and you're just flying blind.
Don't you want to prove yourself wrong? It's like, no.
That's the scientific method. When you fail to prove yourself wrong, that strengthens
yes,
your
early
argument.
on.
But we're pretty early
Is
on.
this
We don't have a
helpful or
randomized
not
controlled
helpful?
I just feel like flying
No, I
blind.
find it incredibly helpful.
What if you
but
scan my
I'm just
brain?
like, what's... I'm just asking myself, what's the point?
Well,
right? It just seems like we're arguing to argue as opposed to learn anything new.
If you scan my brain and it shows low brain activity, perhaps holes, sleepy frontal lobe, but I'm
Yeah, that's got Dr. Mike is a sleepy frontal lobe.
crushing
let me tell
it.
you.
I love life. I'm happy. I'm excelling at sports. Podcast is going well. What does that mean?
It could be better, dude.
Well, it means you have low frontal lobe activity and you're compensating for it and you're not suffering. And so Alzheimer's disease actually...
If it was like a doctor, and they saying like, you have like low blood sugar, and they say, it's because you're not eating enough Twix, and so therefore you have low blood sugar. You can have low blood sugar for, maybe that's a bad example, because maybe it is just like a factor that you eat food, your blood sugar goes up. Or maybe there's like a genetic disorder that prevents that from actually happening. And so therefore you would answer the question like you would hedge your bet a little bit more. Maybe blood sugar is a bad example. If your thyroid hormone was low and then you ask a doctor that and they're like, oh well, it's because not enough thyroid hormones being produced. Or it could be actually when it could be a variety of things. Maybe your thyroid hormone is being degraded. Maybe it is being produced, but it's not actually being released into the bloodstream. Like, just saying it like, oh, it's because you're compensating and you do this. It's like, that's not blood. That you're not a doctor, blood. That is not a doctor. With your undoctoral.
It starts in the brain 20 years before you have any symptoms. Frontal temporal lobe dementia starts in the brain way
Just a dialogue tree. He said, load up the dialogue tree, please.
before you have symptoms. So what it means, in my mind, based on my experience, is your brain's vulnerable. And it's probably not good for you. So you may be crushing it. But are you going to be crushing it 20 years from now? Or would it be better for you to get it as healthy as it could be so you could continue to crush it and you end up not being a burden to your children?
That's a really good question. And I think the way we figure that out is by doing the research to figure out if that intervention will get me there.
So I think we should look at your brain. I have a clinic here in New York, and the radiation is about the same as a head CT, ordered millions of times every year in the United States.
There was a recent report that CTs are raising our risk of cancer by double digits. So got to be careful about that.
If current practice persists, CT-associated cancer could eventually account for 5% of all. Holy
Go ahead, sorry.
shit!
Ordered millions of times every year in the United States.
He said, I gotta go back to my tree.
I have a clinic here in New York, and the radiation is about the same as a head CT, ordered millions of times every year in the United States.
There was a recent report that CTs are raising our risk of cancer by double digits. So got to be careful about that. But go ahead, sorry.
Ordered millions of times every year in the United States. I think it would be interesting. And then you could decide if it was valuable for you.
Yeah, my hesitation is, so why I tell patients who, residents rather, that want to reflexively check thyroid levels in my patients that are not having symptoms, like part of their screening, basically. A healthy person comes in and my resident automatically checks off checking thyroid. And I said, well, why? They said, well, I want to check and make sure it's optimized. So my question to them is, let's say a patient comes in and their T4 is marginally low. Are you going to treat that patient who's comfortable and then give them thyroid hormone, leading them to have palpitations and discomfort? So like every time I'm ordering a test, I'm trying to think, what if, how is this going to change my practice of care? And if you're saying that if I have these findings on the SPECT scan and I'm feeling great now, there's a chance I won't feel great later, I would want to know how sure of that you are based on randomized validated data. I think that's pretty reasonable to ask. No?
I think it's also reasonable to ask. This is what's your experience? Is it as healthy as it could be? And I actually disagree with you. I think people should know their important numbers every year. Like you should know your BMI. You should know what your thyroid is doing. You should know your testosterone.
Choosing wisely, ASCP recommends avoiding TSH screening and annual well visits for asymptomatic adults because evidence doesn't show improved care. Canadian Task Force 2019 recommends against screening asymptomatic non-pregnant adults, citing low certainty evidence and lack of demonstrating clinical benefit, plus risk of unnecessary treatment.
Levels.
But there's such natural fluctuations of these numbers that are outside of your control that will lead you to premature, perhaps unnecessary treatment so many times. So many times.
So if you're hanging with a testosterone level of 250, which is not uncommon today.
Okay.
You think,
what time of day did you test
it? Morning.
Because a lot of these clinics that don't do it in the morning in order to prescribe testosterone for their patients.
Which is bad. Because,
very bad.
You know, too high, your libido goes up and your empathy goes down and you get divorced.
Well, I think about also the medical problems that come along with that.
It's like, so I'm just, I often say, how do you know unless you look?
Well, thank you so much.
So I'm just, I often say, how do you know unless you look?
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your work. Everyone can check out the book. Pre-orders until December 9th.
December 9th.
And then that's when it publishes.
Yeah.
Congratulations on another. I know this is going to be a New York Times bestseller. So wishing you the best of luck for that. Thank you, doctor. Click here to see a list of 10 surprising causes of headaches your pillow could be. As always, stay happy and healthy.
Shut up, Booyah. Oh, that was incredible. That's freaking sick, dude. I really like those, the flying blind. Oh, what do you, okay, so what? You want me to fucking, you want me to fucking walk around this earth, going caw with a big old beak and some big old talons, and then I eat something that makes it, gives me cataracts, and you want me to go flying. Okay, bro wants me to fly blind. That was so funny. It's so funny. Okay, that's probably enough for me. Bye.